has been my guilty pleasure watch for the longest time. I am so glad that now it's so much more impressive and it can be called as a proper crime thriller slash murder mystery and not just some romantic guilty pleasure flick. Welcome back, Cinefam, and here's what I think about You 4 on Netflix. You has been this really successful romantic thriller which was mostly known for its intensely charming and dangerously romantic stalker killer slash anti hero Joe Goldberg, brilliantly played by the immensely attractive Ben Badgley. His body language, his eyes, and of course, not to forget the chilling voiceover, all of Badgley's tactics kept us hooked into this enigmatically presented romantic thriller. For all of you who have seen You, we have all seen him as Joe Goldberg, the bookstore manager in New York City, to Will Bettelheim in LA, then in Madre Linda, and now for the final act, we are seeing Joe as Professor Jonathan Moore at London University. This season, we got to peek into the life of the elite Brits, who are crazier and funnier than you probably expected them to be. I must say that they are anything but thrilling. Anyways, this is supposed to be a mostly spoiler free review, so I'll have to keep you deprived of the story. So we are directly up for the good segment. So, the first thing that I loved about the first part of U4 is that it's certainly out of its conventional pattern, which included loving and killing for love. This season has so much more to offer than what we saw in the previous seasons. I don't know what others are to be saying after their viewing, but I certainly gotta say that this is by far the best season of You, as far as I get to judge it only on the basis of the first half of it. Of course, I expect it to be more thrilling in the next part. Seriously, the novelty that we got this season has actually startled me, and now Professor Jonathan Moore is in a whodunit, the lowest form of literature as he phrases it. But surprisingly for me, the whodunit narrative actually worked well. It's interesting how this season is an actual murder mystery where Joe is being stalked and a serial killer is out on the loose, and it's refreshing to know that it's somebody other than Joe. And Joe has basically become a victim slash Captain America slash Sherlock Holmes this season. Number two, now that Joe is in London, the stakes are higher. New place, certainly a well known and a thickly populated place with new people who all come from a new society who are up for, of course, bigger plans than the immensely private killings that we saw in the season 1, 2, and 3. This gives the story a greater purpose and dimension that was a much needed break from the sociopathic killings out of love. The bar for this season is so high that I suppose all the other seasons, filled with the usually interesting romantic tropes, were just clickbaits for us to reach here closer to its final act. Number 3. Dark humor infused commendably into the script impressed me. The dry wit and savage comebacks by Charlotte Ritchie's Kate gave Joe's life a new dimension as she is not one of the usually lovable girls that he's previously been with. Kate Galvin is a self proclaimed bitch, which makes her and Joe quite an interesting, unusual pair. Even more interesting than the good, there are quite some flaws in the new season of You. Number 1. Apart from Badgley and Ritchie, I seriously hate the new cast as much as I loved the whole new cast in season 2. While some actors have given terrible one note performances, others couldn't stand out as Jenna Ortega, Victoria Pedretti, James Scully, or Shalita Grant did. Only savior was Tilly Keeper's Lady Phoebe, who provides great comical relief. Also, they are great to be suspects in a murder mystery like this, but their characters lack the most important thing, and that's depth. That's much needed and expected, at least from the brilliant writers of You. Number 2. I also despise how they totally caricatured the elite Brits. What? This is freaking what? Alice in Wonderland or Sense and Sensibility? I cannot believe we have characters named here as Lady Phoebe Bohol Blacksworth and Gemma Graham Greene. I don't understand why the hell is it that as soon as we start praising a show for being inventive, why does it have to stereotype its characters in the most terrible manner possible? Anyways, I am disappointed. Number 3, I have to say that the show might get tiring and boring during the second and third episode for many people, if I'm being honest here, because this novelty or newness in the plot isn't what people have expected of it. They certainly demanded a crazier season, I suppose, but they got this inventive, startling murder mystery. Of course, not a bad thing for me, but this shift is gonna be pissing people out there for sure. Or maybe they're gonna love it like me if they have been acquainted with accepting something new. So the showrunners have made a risky decision, but is it worth it? For me, yes, as long as they are promising us with a more riveting outing on this European vacation. And good news for everyone, our very favorite psychopath, other than Joe Goldberg, Love Queen Goldberg, is all set to be reprised by the ever splendid Victoria Pedretti in U4. I know nothing like how, in what circumstances. Also, there are chances that it might be a flashback sequence. I don't know, guys, but she will be appearing as a guest, hopefully in the second part of season 4. Until then, you can check out this really romantic movie playlist. Enjoy yourself, take some cues on what to watch, and stay safe. Bump into and fall for anyone but Joe Goldberg. Be careful, you, until I see you again.